May 26, 1999, Camp Nou, Barcelona. Manchester United are losing 1-0 to Bayern Munich in the Champions League final with less than 2 minutes of normal time remaining. The trophy has already been engraved with Bayern's name. Bayern's players are preparing their celebrations. Then a corner kick, then another, then Teddy Sheringham, then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. 2 goals in stoppage time, one of the most dramatic reversals in football history, completed in the final moments of a match that looked finished for 88 minutes straight. Most people remember that night as a miracle. What they don't realize is that statistically, it was almost inevitable that something would happen late. Because the last 10 minutes of a football match are not just dramatic. They are the single most dangerous, most productive, and most chaotic 10 minutes in the entire sport. And the numbers behind that fact are genuinely extraordinary. Nearly 1 in every 5 goals scored in football comes during the final 10 minutes of a match, far more than in any other 10-minute interval across the 90. To put that in perspective, the 81st to 91st minute bracket alone accounts for 18.8% of all goals scored. Meanwhile, earlier intervals like the 51st to 60th minute and the 61st to 70th minute each account for roughly 10 to 11%. The last 10 minutes nearly doubles the goal rate of any other comparable window in the match. And it isn't just regular time. Stoppage time today often extends matches by an additional 3 to 6 minutes, effectively making that final period closer to 15 minutes of concentrated chaos. Research analyzing 14 FIFA World Cups found that the majority of goals were scored between the 76th and 90th minute of matches, accounting for 22.7% of all goals across the tournament. So why? Why does football's goal rate spike so dramatically in the exact window when players have been running for 80 minutes and should theoretically be at their most exhausted and least effective? The first reason is fatigue, but not in the way most people assume. Tired legs don't just mean slower sprinting. They mean slower decision-making, slower defensive positioning, slower recovery between actions. A center back who covered 10 kilometers in the first 75 minutes is not reading the game at minute 82 the same way he read it at minute 20. His reaction time is fractionally slower. His positional discipline is fractionally looser. And in football, fractions are everything. The closing stages of both halves produce the most goals, partly because players, worn down by exertion, lose concentration at exactly the moment their opponents are most desperate to exploit any gap. The second reason is tactics, and this is where the pattern gets genuinely interesting. A team that is losing at the 80-minute mark has almost nothing left to lose. Managers throw on attacking substitutes, push defenders forward, abandon their shape, and effectively convert a structured football match into a high-risk scramble. Fresh substitutes entering a tired game create immediate mismatches. A player who has been on the bench for 70 minutes running against a defender who has been on the pitch, the whole match is a fundamentally different athletic contest than anything that happened in the first hour. Teams trailing throw everything forward in hope of a late equalizer, while teams leading often defend deeper but leave space for counter-attacking opportunities that can kill off the game. Both dynamics produce goals. Both tend to happen in the same 10-minute window. The third reason is psychological, and it's the one that produces the most famous moments in the sport's history. Football carries a peculiar mental mathematics in its final minutes. A losing team's players simultaneously experience desperation and freedom. The pressure of protecting a result evaporates and is replaced by something closer to pure aggression. Simultaneously, a winning team's players experience something arguably more dangerous: the temptation to protect what they have. That shift, from playing to win to playing not to lose, is one of the most well-documented and consistently destructive mentality changes in sport. It invites pressure, it invites mistakes, and it almost always invites late goals. May 13, 2012, Manchester City vs QPR. Last day of the Premier League season, City lost 2-1 to a 10-man QPR side with the title on the line. The match appeared. Then Edin Dzeko headed in at the 92nd minute. Then, with the season's final kick in the 94th minute, Sergio Aguerò received the ball, drove into the box, and scored to complete one of the most extraordinary title wins in Premier League history. That goal didn't happen in spite of the timing. It happened because of everything the timing creates: exhausted defenders, desperate attackers, fractured defensive shape, and the specific psychological pressure of a scoreline that has just shifted. The same pattern appears in the biggest matches in Champions League history. Bayern Munich led United in 1999 until the 91st minute. Atletico Madrid led Real Madrid in the 2014 Champions League final until Sergio Ramos headed in an equalizer in the 93rd minute, sending the match to extra time and eventually costing Atletico the trophy. Barcelona overturned a 4-0 first-leg deficit against PSG in 2017, completing the comeback in the 95th minute. None of these are coincidences. All of them are the predictable product of the exact conditions the final 10 minutes consistently create across football at every level. Here's the twist, though. Knowing this doesn't make it any easier to stop. Managers know late goals are coming. Defenders know late goals are coming. The data is not secret. And yet the pattern holds, tournament after tournament, season after season, because the conditions that produce late goals aren't individual mistakes or isolated lapses. They are structural, physical, and psychological features of the sport itself that no amount of tactical preparation fully eliminates. Football isn't decided in the first minute or the 50th. It's decided in the chaos that accumulates quietly across 90 minutes and then erupts, almost inevitably, in the final 10. The score at the 80-minute mark is not the result. It's just the setup.